You know what? I think I'll just go ahead and live another 75 years.
Good morning, America. How are you? I am Rabbi Dave, and I'm 62 years old. How much more do I have left in me?
Good morning, America. I am Friar Rod, and I am 57 years old, and I hope I have a lot more left in me.
See, that's the problem. I don't know what I wish. So I came across several discussions and articles this week, and the general hook for these articles is the person who will live to be 150 years old is alive today. And it was this article about how medical science is advancing so rapidly, so quickly, that diseases that were once considered to be a death sentence are now becoming not such a big deal. Whether you're talking about HIV and the fact that, when's the last time you read a story about someone dying from HIV, from AIDS?
It's been a while.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You got Magic Johnson and Charlie Sheen and all these people that are living with HIV, living with AIDS. The commercials on my TV because I watch the gay stations.
The HelloFresh ads.
Yes, the HelloFresh ads. And that sort of thing. In case you missed that, HelloFresh is celebrating Pride Month by pointing out that they sell foods to help with PrEP. And yes, they mean exactly what you think they mean. Anyway, so there's that. Of course, we talked, was it last week? My wife and I got into a very intense discussion this week about Joe Biden and the fact that the cancer that he had stage 4 cancer, prostate cancer, which had metastasized into his bones. And yet he seems to be just fine for, an 85-year-old guy or whatever he is. And Cammie was particularly, I don't want to say angered by this, but she kept pointing out the fact that her father had the same thing. And it was like 8 weeks from the time he got his diagnosis till he passed. So she's like, well, why is this guy still alive? Not in the bad way, not in the, maybe a little bit.
What's keeping him alive?
Right. And so I was like, well, medical advances in the last 10 years have changed things. Plus, let's face facts. Your dad was just a highly decorated veteran, whereas Joe Biden, he's the man that beat Trump, so he's going to get the best care, right?
Well, yeah.
It's kind of the way it goes. But it started in me this whole week, and if you could see my journals, if you could see my texts to myself, which I don't know about anybody else, but I send a lot of texts to myself.
And sometimes to us, because he thinks he's texting himself.
To them, but usually to myself.
I'm like, what am I supposed to respond to this? What?
Right.
Oh, that was for me.
Yeah. Delete. They'll see that every night. Did you intend to delete that? Yes, I did. It wasn't for you. The philosophical wonderings this week about, would I even want to live to be 150?
Not in your present body.
If it was just like it is today, if you could guarantee me that today was the worst it would ever get, I'd think about it.
Okay.
But if I'm going to be worse than this, then absolutely not. I don't. Things today are not comfortable. I don't want to turn this into Dave's bitch fest about his pain, but
complaints with dad.
But as you know, I am often in a great deal of pain. Often. It's getting to the point now where I'm not even wearing socks right now because I can't bend my leg enough to put socks on. So that kind of thing. At the same time, I try to keep a positive attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. As much
Well.
as coffee can give me a positive attitude anyway. Because I do want, I don't necessarily want this to be too personal, but at the same time, I think I don't have a fear of dying, Rod, because I have a philosophy, I guess, that's a little bit different. It's very Saganistic in my philosophy, which is that this whole we're one with the universe thing applies because we are stardust. We are made of stars. Every atom in my body came from an exploding star. A star had to die in order to make the stuff that became me. What becomes after me because I had to die? You see what my flow
Assuming you're not a simulation.
Okay, there's another conversation that we had this week about some scientist, some egghead scientist thinks that we're all just well, we had that last week on the show, didn't we?
It was, yeah, we did.
I had it again on Monday or Tuesday with somebody else, but we're just consciousness, and Rod and all of you people are just complete figments of my own imagination.
Yeah.
Okay. Assuming that's not the case, what comes after me? And the philosophy that I've always lived with since I realized these things has always been, I'm not really afraid of death in the sense of, oh my God, it's the end of everything, blah, blah, blah. Theologically, obviously, there are some considerations involved in all this. As Jews, we certainly accept the concept of resurrection and eternal life, whether that's in this body, because my temptation would be to say, look, can we negotiate this? Because I don't want this one back. I need
Return to sender.
I need a new sleeve. Or whatever, that's a different story. But that said, while I do not have a fear of death or ending in that note, I have a driving sense of I still have work to do. And my work is not done. And I'm starting to realize, do I have time enough to do all this? My family, my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, my paternal grandfather, so both of my grandfathers, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, my paternal grandmother doesn't count because she died of cancer when she was 62. So throw that one out. But all three of my other grandparents, both of my parents and my uncle all passed away between 82 and 83. Which means, familially, that I have...
You get 20 years.
Just over 20 years left. It's kind of like a jail sentence, right? And I also know that for most of those folks, the last 5 years was just hanging on.
Yeah.
They weren't. My uncle had a stroke.
15 good years.
Yeah. But I have a lot to accomplish in that time. I have a lot to do, and I have a lot to, I feel like I have. Am I making sense with this?
I think it's the question that we all face at some point in time. The younger people don't tend to think in those realms. Like, I remember processing it at one point, thinking about mortality and death and all that stuff. But, and then also my mom passed away from a host of health problems at 76. But her father was in his 80s. Her mother was much younger, but she died from complications after childbirth. So back in the days when they couldn't be saved, but both my dad's parents lived into their early 90s. My dad's heading that way.
So this is how ridiculous this has gotten this week. Somebody sent me a prompt. A friend of mine said, well, maybe you should ask ChatGPT.
Oh, no.
Well, no, it wasn't the how long am I going to live question. It was the, based on what you know about me, how did this phrase, based on what you know on me, how would you say, what is it about me that other people recognize, but I don't see in myself? Does that make sense? Kind of thing. And one of the things he said was that I'm very driven and that I have a sense of passion because I have to do these things because it's not that I love history per se. It's that I want people to know these things. And in order to do that, I have to finish my tasks, which it fits perfectly in with Judaism, because in Judaism, we believe that the reason a person is born is because the earth can no longer function without me. That's why I was born. And the reason we pass on, the day we die, is the day that whatever it is that we were supposed to do to heal the world is done. And there's nothing more for me to do. So it fits in with that Jewish ideology. It fits in with that Jewish concept, I guess. But at the same time, it also makes me wonder about, how driven to do this stuff am I? And should I be pursuing this possibility of living to 150? Because clearly, I don't get it. I don't always understand where this is going.
Yeah. Well, I think that we'll have a host of other problems if people start living to 150, for one.
Yeah.
Retirement plans aren't expecting to cover.
No, neither does Social Security.
No.
Imagine Graham Plattner, who is a 100% disabled veteran, living to 150. What is he, 45 now? I mean, that's a story for another day. Yes, it would increase the whole concept of retirement and benefits and those kinds of things is based on people living to the average age. And yes, there are exceptions to the rules, but as a general rule of thumb, it also becomes problematic. How do we pay for that? Well, I mean, if you're here in Washington, we'll just tax the millionaires that all left. So is it even likely, though, that people would live that long? Would it become the norm? I mean, even with the advances in medical science, and look, I'm a testament to the advances in medical science. I often think about what would people like me have done 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. I got no right knee, can't see, my shoulders, fixed, but it wasn't. And, 100 years ago, they couldn't fix those things. What did people in the Old West do when the knee meniscus gave out? How did they survive? And the answer is, I don't know.
They chopped the leg off and your peg leg after that.
Arr. Couldn't hurt, right? But if you don't lose it to a shark, what's the point? But you never read in history about that. There's never in history, you're never reading these stories about these people like me who are basically blind. I mean, you occasionally read about a blind man, but you don't read about people who are, 2,600 with their vision. How did they get along? And they existed because we're humans, and that's natural. Shoulders degrading, knees degrading. Of course, they didn't live as long.
Yeah.
But now, thanks to medical science, I have a repaired shoulder. I have glasses that correct my vision if I stare at exactly the right place through my progressive lenses. I get 20/20 vision in one spot. But as a general rule, then again, I have glaucoma on top of it. So that procedure is coming up here in a couple of months. You see what I'm
a mess.
I really am, but me at 62 compared to my dad at 62, and certainly compared to my grandfather at 62, I'm a whole lot better off.
Yeah.
Would I want to live to be 150? I don't know. There's a part of me, Rod.
Would Ben want you to live to 150? Did you have that conversation with him?
If you asked him today, I think he'd say yes, but if you asked him in 10, 15 years, it may not be the case. Think about what the world's going to look like in 75 years. Look where it was 75 years ago. I mean, look where it was 62 years ago when I was born. The technology changes. What do we call this? My generation, we're not baby boomers. We're like Generation Jones or something now. They've changed us.
Really?
So, yeah, because we're not truly boomers. We're not post-war boomers, but we're not the 1970s kids either. We're not all that. And we've gone, I mean, literally in my life, Rod, I've gone from programming a calculator in Octal to communicating with you via this new system that we're using today, which is confusing the hell out of us, but we're going to get through it. So we've gone from there to this. And I don't even know how to count in Octal anymore. Well, I guess I did. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. I guess I could.
Yeah.
It's a hexadecimal. Don't ask me to do math in it, though.
No.
We've gone from this to that to this, whatever you want to talk about. Where are we going to be in 75 years? Are we going to be living on Mars? When I was Ben's age, I was writing science fiction stories about living on Mars. Yeah. How happy I was going to be. That was before I knew about radiation and bone density loss. And what happens if I'm on Mars and my knee gives out? Do they have a hospital there that can do a knee replacement?
Nope.
What other things could they replace? I mean, geez, we replace hearts now. Hearts, kidneys, lungs.
Yeah. I'm waiting for them to clone, to use your own cells and clone your own organs.
What about the android body? See, this was in Star Trek, where they take your mind and they put it into an android body where you just live forever. Do I really want to do that?
Isn't that what Musk is trying to do with Neuralink eventually?
Is he? And
I know that there's, I know there's others that are trying to, they want to do that.
Right. Well, it just raises these quality of life issues. I mean, again, if I could stasis and just stay like I am today, I could probably go 75 years easily. I don't know that I would get all my work done because in 75 years, where am I going to be? I'm going to be like, oh, now I got 75 more years to catch up on to teach about and talk about.
Then you'll slack off, right? Oh, I got 75 more years. I'll get to it tomorrow.
Will the Mariners win a World Series in that time?
Yeah.
Questionable.
Will Seattle still be around in that time?
What if there's a nuclear war? Do I really want to survive that? I mean,
no.
What if my body survives, the blasting of everything around here, and I just get to live in a nuclear hellscape for the rest of those 75 years? I don't see, these are things. Could you even do Kevorkian yourself at that point? Would it work? These are questions that we don't know. And so when I look at these articles about, well, these guys, the person that's going to live to 150 is born today, right? Is alive. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think I want it to be me. But at the same time, my personality, my beliefs, my desires, my goals are, sure, I could use another 75 years to get all this done.
Yeah.
But even then, would it matter? See, this is the thing that nobody wants to talk about, Rod. And that is, when you die, when my life is over and done, they put me in the ground, they put a marker on my thing. Do you realize that within 30 to 40 years, 2 generations at the most, there is nobody left that knew you, that actually knew you? You're gone. I mean, for all practical purposes. Who?
Yeah.
Never met my grandfather. He died 5 years before I was born, my maternal one. Never met him. Got a picture of him, hangs on my wall. Never met him. Don't know anything about, I finally got to know something about him when I sat down with my Uncle Joe and said, tell me about your dad. And for the next 4 hours, I just listened. But that's all I know about him. It bothers me. It bothers me. It tasks me. I don't know how to feel about this. Do I even want to go through that?
This is why you teach the young, your progeny, right?
What I'm trying to do, but he doesn't seem all that interested in this stuff. We had a long discussion about the Electoral College this week. Why I support the Electoral College and why he thinks it's not fair. So we had a vote about what was for dinner. He wanted pizza, and his mother and I voted for hamburgers. And he said, but I want pizza. So we voted, and you lost.
So how are you going to work out the Electoral College in your house now? So you can demonstrate that.
It wasn't as effective as a lesson as I'd hoped, because he ended up getting pizza anyway, because he just threw a fit. Anyway, then I see news stories like the couple, and I'm not even going to name them because they piss me off so bad. The social media couple that posted all over media this week about aborting their baby because it was Down syndrome and how proud they were of themselves. Who the hell posts that shit? Who does that?
Well,
Number one,
you rightly pointed out attention horse, right?
Number one, they videotaped him delivering the news to her on a golf course. He had a friend hold the camera and video him delivering the message to her on a golf course that their baby had a 95% chance of being Down syndrome. Who does that?
Cool.
Who, other than attention whores, who does that? And then to post on social media that we've decided to abort this child because it's Down syndrome, most likely, we don't actually know. There's a 95% chance. And so we're going to abort it. And seemingly expect everyone to sing their praises over this. That's the part I didn't get. It was almost like they posted this thinking everybody was going to congratulate them on this decision to abort this child.
To kill their child.
Okay. That's a debate for another day. But to get rid of the child, to abort the child on the basis of they didn't want to have to deal with this. Convenience for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that offends me on a lot of levels. Number one, as I've mentioned many times, my baby sister was Down syndrome. She also had a lot of other problems that were related to that, but not. She could have been not Down syndrome and still had those problems, and they would have been, medical issues, but at the same time being Down syndrome. But it's like, you know what? My parents didn't even have that test. What do they call it? Amniocentesis. Cammie had that test done with Ben. And it was one of the scariest days of my life because she thought that she had lost the baby after that test. We ended up doing an emergency sonogram and everything was fine. In fact, it was just fine. It was like, holy crap, he's doing great. It's like it's the first time I had actually seen him on the screen. It was like, holy shit. Anyway, my parents didn't have that option. They didn't have that test back then, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know. I remember the phone call from Dr. Ward to my dad. We were all standing there. It was one of the few times I ever saw my father cry. And to know what they went through for 49 years with a Down syndrome child, with other problems. I left home when Dee Dee was exactly 10 years younger than me. 10 years, 1 month, and 7 days, as she would have said. And so when I left home at 18, she was 8. So I don't want to say I didn't grow up with her, but I didn't know her as well as I would know some of my other siblings. Yeah. But to watch my parents go through this and to see the life that she lived and the things that she accomplished, the things that she did, the people that the lives that she touched, you can't just walk away from that because it's inconvenient. Yeah, you're right. It's inconvenient. It was hard. There were a lot of times when, as a family, we sacrificed things that should have been happening that weren't because of this. And these people just post it all over social media and expect a marching band parade. Congratulations, you aborted your child.
Yeah.
And then to watch their reaction when they don't get that reaction has been incredible. It's like, Oh, why is everybody mad at us? Why is everybody picking on? Why is everybody mad? We don't get it.
Don't breed. Don't breed. Don't ever have kids.
Yeah. That child didn't get a chance to be 150. It's a quality of life issue, I guess. I don't know. We start making those kinds of decisions. We start making these kinds of decisions like you get in the film Gattaca, where you decide everything about your child. Are they blue-eyed, brown-haired, tall, short, fat, skinny, Red Sox fan or Yankees fan? I mean,
do we name him Con?
Do we even want to be 100? Do we even want this child? And then you give your child some ridiculous, stupid name. And you want them to live to 150? They have to put up with that crap for 150 years? I don't know, man. I don't think I want to live to be 150. Again, I have no fear of dying. I have a fear of not finishing what I've set out to do. Yeah. And I will tell you that drives me more than you can ever imagine, more than anybody can really grasp. That fear of not succeeding in what I've set out to do is what drives me. And I don't know that if I had another 200 years to do it, I would ever succeed.
Would you sign up for the Matrix?
Yeah, because then I could do Kung Fu. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
Can you hear that? Is that not cool?
I hear that.
So we're using a new system. For the longest time, we've used Zoom. And you remember how I've been bitching about my computer?
Yep.
As it turns out, it wasn't my computer. It was the program we were using.
Okay, Zoom.
Zoom, which is great for what it does, isn't what we needed. So now we have this program, which appears to be what we need. We shall see in the next couple of hours as we edit things and get it down. But I'm pretty happy with it so far. Happy enough that I spent money on it. How's that?
Did you? Is it the same cost as Zoom?
It's a little bit more expensive, but it may be worth it. And if it is, then God bless us. If you want to support the show, you can do it. Just click on the support the show link. And thanks to those of you who do, you'll be happy to know your money is being well spent right here on this new program, which hopefully will solve all those problems. Meanwhile, the military has solved some problems. The United States military has... Okay. So go back to 1981 when I joined the Navy. My mother, of blessed memory, threw an absolute thrombo, which is a great 1970s word for bitch fit, about my dog tags when she saw my dog tags for the first time.
Okay. Why is that?
My dog tags had my name on it, David Ray Bowman, had my social security number on it, had my blood type on it, which is, as it turns out, extremely rare, AB positive, less than 5% of us. It's also technically unusable because nobody needs it. So it's like, who cares? And then at the bottom it said, and I'm not making this up, OTHREL, OTHREL, which in military stands for other religion.
Okay.
And my mom came unglued because she knew that the church that we belonged to, the Salvation Army, had its own code. How did she know this? Because my grandfather had been in the military. And her brothers had been in the military. And so she knew that the church, the Salvation Army, had a code, and that should have been on my dog tags, and she was incensed that it was not. And I had to explain to her that, look, the guy asked me, what church do you go to? And I told him. And he looked at the codes and he said, okay, OTHREL, and stamped it in there. And she just never could get her mind around the fact that when you're in basic training, you don't have a whole lot of say in things. You do as you are told to do. You don't,
You don't sit there and argue.
Right. Now, I guess I could have gone back later and gotten it changed, but I didn't, because there was a certain kind of intrinsic pride, I guess, in not having something else, just generic Christian on my dog tags. The other thing is, after basic training, you pretty much didn't wear them anyway. So I have one of them somewhere. It's in a box, but I just...
Well, wouldn't you only wear them after basic if you were to deployed? Or did you not take them on the boat?
We took them on the boat, but I don't think we ever wore them. You know why you didn't wear them? Because they were noisy.
Well, they're noisy, and they would also probably get hung up on things.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's this Oth-Rel thing. By the time I got out of the Navy, my understanding is that there were close to 200 different codes that you could put on this thing. Any religion that you could just about think of had its own code, and they could stamp that on there. Now, after 2017, adding, what did they add, 80 codes back in 2017 under President Trump in his first year in office.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Pentagon has announced that they are cutting back on this, and they have reduced the number of codes to 31, from 200 plus to 31.
Okay.
And people are losing, some people are losing their minds.
Which people are those, Dave?
Well, now it kind of depends on things. Some people are upset because, this whole idea is flawed because freedom of religion. How can they just take away somebody's religion? I don't think you can argue that they're taking away anybody's religion.
No.
The argument here is we only got so many chaplain positions to go around.
Mm-hmm.
And as it is, if you go into the history of military chaplaincy, you will find numerous episodes where Catholic chaplains had to behave as Protestant chaplains. Protestant chaplains occasionally had to be Jewish chaplains. Jewish chaplains occasionally had to be Catholic chaplains. And this is not an unusual thing. To be a military chaplain, you had to be, a jack of all religions, as it were. You had to know them all, because you never knew what was going to happen. And there's only, in any given area, there's only one. I mean, we didn't have, on the boat, we didn't have a chaplain at all. We had a designated RPO, religious petty officer. It was a collateral duty. Okay, so now imagine if you're in one of these exclusive religions where you just believe everybody else is going to hell,
but
you get that job. You're the religious petty officer. And so now you have to take care of somebody else's need that doesn't believe what you believe. As you can imagine, it did not always go well. Just say it. And even amongst those that you thought would get along, not pointing any fingers and naming any names, Christians, it didn't always go well, because you believe something I don't believe, I believe something you don't believe, and I'm right, you're wrong.
The evangelicals don't typically care for the Catholics, the LDS, the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Tom Lehrer once did a song about National Brotherhood Week. Oh, the Protestants hate the Catholics, and the Catholics hate the Protestants, and Hindus hate the Muslims, and everybody hates the Jews. So it's a National Brotherhood Week, which I can sing because Tom Lehrer gave us his rights to do. Anyway, it didn't always go well. And there was usually a group chaplain. So the base had a chaplain, and you could go talk to him. But what if he wasn't your faith?
Yeah.
I assure you, and I can say this from the bottom of my soul, there are very few chaplains in the Salvation Army, very few chaplains in the military who have any clue what the Salvation Army is, let alone what it does, or what it believes, even though its belief system is pretty much standard Wesleyan, Methodist, Nazarene. I mean, you could, in fact, the pastors from the Salvation Army regularly go to the Nazarene church and vice versa. So it's not all that, it's not a crazy religion. It's just,
No.
it's just out there. But I couldn't get it on my dog tags. And now, even if I wanted to, I couldn't because it's no longer a code there. I could just get Christian other, except
Christian
that
other?
Swedish, which would be JU or J whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people are having a fit over this, and I'm not pointing any fingers or naming any names, but having grown up in Utah, you can pretty much guess who it is.
They don't.
fact-
But the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is on there.
Yes, but not as Christians. They have their own code.
Oh,
See, they
wow.
get their own code.
Yeah.
But they're not a subcode of Christianity. So like you get Christianity Baptist, Christianity Catholic, Christianity, and I don't know. But not LDS. LDS
Well,
has
it's because they
own-
didn't want to be called Mormon, right? They would have said Christian Mormon, probably. But we got to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. No, that's what you're going to call us. Oh, well,
Right.
okay.
So this has led to ABC4 in Utah. Headline: the Defense Department stated the religious designations or slashed its religious designation from over 200 choices to only 31, and in doing so reclassified the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as presumably not Christians, since it doesn't say Christian LDS, it just says LDS.
Are they Christian?
Okay. So a long time ago, in fact, would have been my first week on the air in the afternoons.
Yeah.
We had a primary election in California, 2008. Do you remember who was running for president in 2008 on the Republican ticket?
I don't remember. Was it Mitt Romney?
Mitt Romney.
Okay.
Mitt Romney was on this thing, and my boss, who I really liked, don't get me wrong, came up with this great idea that instead of me just doing my show on election day, primary election day, and then turning it over to the national, I think, who was it, Rusty Humphreys or whoever.
Mhm.
Instead of doing that, we'll just keep Dave on the air until the returns are done somewhere around July 15th. Oh, wait, that's how California does it now. This was before the mail-in thing. So they actually had to count by 10 o'clock. Okay?
Sure.
They don't do that anymore because then Democrats would lose. So I'm going to stay on the air. And to make this work, he suggests that maybe we should have a bunch of guests come in, political pundits from around the area. One of whom, I will say this from the bottom of my heart, one of whom wasn't me, one of whom had a real issue with LDS theology and said so on the air.
Well, there you go.
Look, I grew up in Utah. Do I believe LDS theology? No, I don't. I never have. Never will.
Just
There's
one life for you.
nothing in LDS theology that attracts me in any way, shape, or form, or that I see as potentially valid to me. And I said that even when I was a Christian. Now that I'm a Jew, it's even less that case, okay?
You wouldn't even send midgets to run into the temple to see how far they could get?
No. And the Scientology church. Now, having said that, I grew up in Utah, folks. I don't dislike your people. I played for your softball team. So let it go. But this guy said this on the air. And the next afternoon, I came into work and my boss had a stack. I swear to God, a stack of emails and phone mail messages, which, by the way, were all verbatim copies of the same thing.
All right, yeah.
Demanding that I be fired because I had insulted the LDS church. So I went on the air because he didn't fire me because I didn't say it.
Yeah. Wasn't me. Sorry.
And I asked the question, and it was a very simple question that I asked. So if you can answer this question for me, I'll retire. I'll quit. The guy that founded your church said that you were not Christian. said that all the other Christian churches are wrong and didn't want to be associated with them whatsoever. Now, in the ensuing 150 years, what's changed? Have you changed your doctrine to match theirs, or have they changed their doctrines to match yours? Crickets. Still haven't gotten an answer to that. So when the Defense Department changes this, I'm sure that there was somebody in the Defense Department that had a hard-on for LDS people and doesn't like them, and that's why it happened.
Probably.
But I'm telling you, as someone who spent a significant portion of my life in the military with a dog tag that said Oth Rel, nobody is running around looking at your dog tags going, what religion are you? I can't be your friend unless you're the right religion.
I don't know. Wouldn't Muslims maybe do that, looking for Jews?
Well, again, maybe, but they weren't wearing their dog tags either.
Well.
And at the end of the day, your good little Christian sons and daughters are going to the bar just like the rest of us. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
Don't care about the World Cup at all. It literally, I mean, I don't know about where you are, but where we are, all it's doing is driving up the ferry traffic. Seattle's all excited today because they opened up one lane of I-5. They've been doing this I-5 Revive thing for like 30 years. But for the traffic for the World Cup, we've opened up a lane. Woohoo!
Yeah, yay.
To me, the only drama is whether or not the Pride game happens on June 14th between Egypt and Iran here in Seattle, where Pride Month, while the rest of the country looks at Pride Month and kind of goes, yeah, we're past that. Here in Seattle, it's still a thing.
Well,
and these
there's always HelloFresh, right?
These people actually, hey, it's good for prep. These people actually think they're going to show up at this game between two devout Muslim countries, one Shia and one Sunni, and somehow or another convince them to be okay with Pride. By the way, you can still get tickets to this game. The cheapest ones I've seen are $321. But you're going to be in the nosebleed section. And really, who cares? So, no, I have no interest in it. I have a passing fancy with English football.
Yeah.
Because I figured somewhere along the line, if you're going to watch soccer, you might as well watch English because that's probably, I mean, the Germans, I'm sure, will argue it. The French will argue it. But really, English Premier League soccer is...
It's it.
Yeah. But I didn't want to be I didn't want to be a bandwagon fan of a team like Manchester United, Arsenal. No. I wanted to find a team that was middle of the road at best, that had passionate fans, but understood that we're here for the glory of the game, not the whole bullshit stuff. And so I found a team. The team is in Norwich, which, by the way, is where my ancestral family comes from, Norfolk, in England. So there was that connection. But here's where it gets really bizarre. You ready?
Sure.
I am absolutely fascinated with the story of Amelia Earhart.
Are you?
This is something I don't talk about a lot because nobody else cares, right? Do you care what happened to Amelia Earhart?
I'd like to know.
But does it passionately drive you? Does it keep you awake at night?
It does not.
It does me. Because there is a very real possibility, in fact, one might say probability, that Amelia Earhart was actually eaten by a coconut crab, or crabs, as the case may be. Which is, in my view, one of the most terrifying things to have happen to you. But coconut crabs are have you ever seen these things, man? They're huge.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I came across this story about this guy who thinks he knows what happened to Amelia Earhart, and he went through the whole reasoning of why and where he thinks they landed, which is on a place that was once known as Gardner Island. It's now known as Nikamaruru, which is its real name. And he was talking about this thing and how they probably landed on the reef and survived for a few days and made several radio calls for help and blah, 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 blah. It's a long story. Don't have time to get to it. And since 2006-ish, there have been multiple expeditions to this island, and there will be one this year. And they actually think that they have found the plane.
Okay.
And satellite photos, they're going to confirm it. Got my fingers crossed.
Well, there you go.
But the biggest landmark on this island is a ship that back in the 1920s was driven ashore onto the reef of this island in a storm. And the shipwreck is still there to this day, although it has been beaten to snuck, and basically it's just the engines that are all that's left. But at the time that Amelia Earhart crashed, the entire ship was still there. You with me here?
Okay.
The name of that ship, Rod? Take a guess.
The Norwich.
The SS Norwich City.
Okay.
And so my ancient family comes from the Norwich area. Here's this ship that's connected to Amelia Earhart. And here's this team that's middle of the pack back then in the Premier League. Norwich City. So that's how I became a Norwich City fan.
Okay.
That's why I became... Look, your story is just as ridiculous about black and white jerseys, so...
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I just remember seeing the first Premier League game I ever saw back in the 70s was the black and white jersey.
But at least your team is consistently in the Premier League, whereas Norwich City can't seem to make up its mind. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
I've become far too familiar with the Championship League just because Norwich City. Anyway, the reason this all comes to mind today is not because of anything that has to do with Norwich City, or it's because
they stayed in the Champions League, right? Or are they out?
Yes,
okay.
we were in halfway through the season. We were in relegation position, and then they decided that they should start playing, and so they finished in 9th. Yay! It's like you couldn't do that before. It's like these teams that only play from the fourth quarter of games. You know. Anyway. So in July of this year, so next month, there will be another expedition to Nikamaruru Island, and as I said, on satellite photos, it appears that they have found the plane, the wreckage of the plane. And even today, you can go on Google Maps and you can see an anomaly, that's what they call it, that fits the dimensions of what they're looking for. And so it's in an area where nobody would have thought to look for it initially. But when you think about what happens to that island and the way that island is shaped and the way the island is geographically, and you start realizing what happens with western winds and storms, and you go, oh, that does make sense that it would be there instead of where everybody's been looking for it, which is off the western edge of the island.
So if they survived, they died because there's probably no fresh water there.
There's no fresh water on the island. They died, probably starved to death, and then they were eaten by the coconut crabs. And that's part of the story, is that human remains were found on one of these expeditions. They're female bones, and they are from a very tall person.
So, did they do genetic stuff with it?
I don't think so, but I don't know. But there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that makes it pretty. I'm convinced that this is where they landed. I don't have any problem with. There is a report from a shortwave listener who picked up a distress call that appeared to be from Amelia Earhart, and it mentions the SS Norwich City. So there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but this would absolutely confirm it. So stand by, because at some point when they announce that this either was or was not, you can certainly, if it is, you're going to definitely hear about it from me.
It could just be the Curse of Oak Island all over again.
It could very well be. And this island, by the way, is just an absolute hellhole. I mean, it's there's a lot of places I look at and go, oh, I'd like to go there. This is not one of them. This place is, it's not a place you would really want to go. There's no fresh water, although I don't know how there's vegetation if there's no fresh water.
Yeah.
And it is covered with vegetation. It's covered with coconut crabs. Yeah.
Can you eat coconut crabs?
You can, but you got to defeat them in battle first. Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
Rod, what do you call a sailor with a large library?
What do you call a sailor with a large library? I don't know.
A buccaneer. We're getting to that time of year again where we start arguing about what is and what is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I think we have come down on the... I don't necessarily, because I'm noticing that the Hallmark Channel is already starting to run holiday films again.
Are they really? Oh my gosh.
I never watch them. I'm just scrolling through. But the question about Die Hard, whether it's a holiday movie or not, and we've beaten that to death. But I came across an interesting theory this week. The film Alien. Not a holiday. And it's not what we're saying, but maybe it is, because Alien is basically, if you look at the story of Alien from the xenomorph's point of view, the film Alien is basically Die Hard. He's one guy, he's on his own, he's crawling through air ducts, people are trying to hunt him down and kill him, and in his mind, he's the good guy, right?
I thought he was just trying to eat.
Okay, sure, but still, from his point of view, isn't it basically just Die Hard? People have taken over his ship, people have invaded his space, and he's just trying to defeat them?
Well, they came down, They landed on the planet, and they found the eggs, and then the egg gestated in the guy.
Right.
So then, the alien itself, I guess, didn't have a whole lot to say about where he ended up and popped out of the body, right?
So here's a weird Dave Diamond fact. You ready? Rabbi Dave fact. I've never actually seen Alien.
What?
Okay. I'm 62 years old, as I've mentioned.
Yes.
I've been around long enough that every one of my friends has seen Alien. Everything on the internet, meme-wise, has told me about. Basically, I didn't need to see Alien because the whole entire story has been repeated to me so many times, and I just didn't need to see it.
It holds up very well for its age.
It sure does. So does Die Hard, right? Yeah. I mean, it's basically, from the xenomorph standpoint, it's basically the same story. It's just a guy by himself crawling through air ducts with people trying to kill him. It'll change how you watch it, right? Certainly, if I were to watch it now, it would be a little bit different. Nobody's on his side. Just better looking terrorists, right?
WTF@whatthefrock.org. Send your hate mail to WTF@whatthefrock.org.
And on that note, I am Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And this has been a very long-lived episode of
What the Frock?
So grab your frock and come aboard. This nonsense can't be ignored. We joke, we gripe, we spin, we sing while Rome burns on. We'll do our thing. What the frock?
How do you say?
On here? We may not know.
Oh yes,
yippee
yippee-ki-yay,
Raise your
motherfucker.
voice, your glass, your Because
Wait
the
up.
Frock is happening now.